What's up, Internet Land? Optimus Prime, aka Optimus Prime, here with another Transformers third-party review, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So, I have here. I bought this a couple years ago in a lot of a bunch of figures that basically jump-started my third-party Legends figures, the collection that I have now. This is the Iron Factory Ultimate Commander, and this is Iron Factory's version of basically Power Master Optimus Prime with the Apex armor, or in Japanese parlance, this would be the God Jinrai, and it looks good. But what I'm doing here, so this figure is mine. I own this; it is all mine. But on loan to me from my buddy Mike is the Nightmare Commander, which is a repaint, just like a straight up repaint of this figure with an additional cloak. This is a repaint of the same cape that came with the Starscream, their Iron Factory Starscream, which I also have and reviewed some time ago. And then I also have on loan from me the Steel Lucifer, which is mostly a repaint, but also got a lot of new parts in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this figure here because this is the base figure. I'm going to talk a little bit about this figure because it's really just a repaint. And then I'm going to go over some of the differences that are in this figure. So everybody bear with me. It's going to be kind of interesting. So here it is, the Ultimate Commander. This is their take on the Power Master Optimus Prime with Apex armor. And ultimately, like, this homages the Power Master Optimus Prime, but basically this is an IDW Optimus Prime with a set of armor on it. And as I get into that, I'll show you straight up. But this figure is pretty nice. So it comes with a pile of accessories. It comes with this little spear thing here. And the spear thing is actually a pretty fun weapon as far as things go. You've got the main shaft of it, and then this part here. It's actually all molded in translucent orange plastic, which looks really good. You got to take this off to put it into his fist, because of course it doesn't get past this chunk right here. But more specifically, you can take this off and take this off, and you can have like a sword and an axe. And I don't particularly like displaying him that way personally, because the axe is like super short and it just doesn't have much oomph to it, whereas like the big old spear just has presence on his little shelf. So that's a fun little thing. It's all just 5mm peg all along here, so it's compatible with different Iron Factory figures and whatnot. He comes with an Optimus Prime Ion Blaster style gun. This is just, if Iron Factory had produced a baseline Optimus Prime, this is what it would come with. By the way, speaking of baseline Optimus Prime, I'm going to do a quick size comparison. As I like to do with Legends scale figures, there he is with the Magic Square Optimus Prime. There he is with, get out of my way. Get out of my way. With the New Age Prowl. Sorry, his name slipped my mind for a second. And also with the New Age Bumblebee. So, proportion-wise, I think that's actually good for an armored up Optimus Prime. Bigger, bulkier, but, I think that the scale works. So, he's got this. He also comes with two of these sort of guns. And these are just supposed to look like the ones that came with the Power Master Optimus Prime, I think. And then on his back And in all the time I've had this, I've never been sure what to do with this. He's got two little guns and this little bracket thing, which has got a peg on it, but also a spot for a peg to stick onto. So you can stick this on a peg, or you can turn it and stick it in a hole. And it's just two little guns sitting there, and they do that. But I've never really figured out where on this figure they're supposed to go. I always stick them right here on the back because I like to have everything included and not just have like a pile of loose figures. Also, he comes with these little guns here, and those will just fit on his legs. With his armor up, his posability is a bit limited, so his head is on a ball joint. It goes up and down a little bit. It does not go side to side really much at all. It does rotate just fine. His arms will kind of move. That's just such a glowing praise, isn't it? His arms will kind of move. His arms, so they're on a ball joint in here, but that ball joint is attached to this wheel, and that wheel turns, so you can get about that much motion forward and about that much motion back. Not a whole lot. He's got a waist. This, by the way, it looks like he has some sort of like an outward butterfly joint, but it's really just the transformation joint going haywire. He's got a waist, but yeah, actually his waist works really well and is not really hampered all that much. His hips, on the other hand, are really hampered by his, armored up dick plate that goes on there, and it just kind of gets in the way. And if you try to move his legs forward, it comes off, and if you try to move his legs back, they'll go back that far. They'll go out for the full Van Damme. They do have a limited thigh swivel up there, single joint at the knee for a little bit, for just under 90 degrees of bend. And then this whole foot section is attached via peg, and that peg is there for attachment purposes, but you can also kind of move it around a little bit to give him some motion on that foot. As far as his foot itself, all it has is this pivot, so you really kind of do want to make use of that motion. Now let's get him all stripped down. We're just going to unpeg this. His feet will get folded up to go into this mode, so we'll bring those out. These panels here, you're going to open them up and slide them off. There's a peg inside. Come on. There's a peg inside that his small robot hand plugs onto. We'll do the same with the other side. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. These just plug right on. There's a little tab in the front of this armor and a big tab in the back, and it holds it fairly securely, but not like impossibly securely. You can pull them off if you're wiggling around with it. This just frictions on. This also just frictions on. You do need to put the head away, and then there's this gap here which you need to pull out. And then that will allow you to slide this in and stick it into place. These guns, by the way, I forgot to mention that they go up and down, and these little things can fold away. If you want to do that, I always like having them deployed. I think they look cooler that way. This plugs on with just a single peg. It's got a key on it so that you can make sure to plug it in just one way, and it won't just like rotate wildly once it is on. To get his chest out, this is kind of to get his head his head is stuck in his chest. Let me use a little pry tool to kind of just yank this out a little bit. There we go. And that, you just fold out the whole chest. That gives him the space to do that, put it all into place. And then be careful with it because it does not lock into place. Anything if you bump it or prod it, it will dislodge and you'll be stuck doing it all over again. And this is your base mode Optimus Prime. I have had a few people, by a few people, I don't know. There's this guy that I argued with for just a little bit. Not a long argument because I won it with a single screenshot. But he was saying that this was war within Optimus Prime, and I said, no, this is the Stormbringer Optimus Prime. He's like, no, you're wrong. And I'm like, okay, well, here we go. Here's a picture from the Stormbringer comics, and gosh, that looks just like that. Like literally exactly like that. So this is basically a take on the Stormbringer. Just come to think of it, was that Dreamwave or was that IDW? I don't remember offhand. So in this mode, his poseability is a bit more. His arms still are kind of limited, but not as limited. His head moves all about just fine. By the way, really nice like sculpting and paint details on this head. I think it looks nice. Waist still waists. Arms still have the swivel and the bend. That's pretty much the same. Leg now goes farther forward and back. Outwards is the same. This is the same. That's the same. His toe is on a little ball joint in here. So there's a little bit of wiggle from that ball joint. And then there's a toe joint attached to that as well. So you get a little poseability off of that toe joint. All in all, it's decent, and this really is the way you'd want to keep it. You can transform him, but I don't really like it because I don't think it looks that good. In fact, to be perfectly honest, all things being considered, I don't particularly care for this figure. I don't keep it on my shelf with my other Legends figures, and I just... when you armor them all up and gear him up, he looks good just standing there. But if you try to do anything funky with him at all, by the way, I forgot to mention he's got wrist poseability in this mode only. When you try to do anything funky with him, like, everything sucks. And transformation is one of those things, so let's get into that. So we're going to flip his head back in the way it was before. Like that. This part here is going to come up and flip over to cover that up. You want to also kind of yank this out. It's on like a double hinge there. That will allow you to pull this, extend this out, and rotate this up a bit. Rotate his waist 180 degrees. That'll stick down against there. Oh, it's actually been a while since I've transformed this figure. By a while, I mean like I had him out and I was playing with him a few weeks ago before the whole lockdown stuff hit the fan. So you want to bend his arm backwards because in this mode without that armor it will bend backwards. There's this hole right here on his elbow that pegs into this. If you get this rotated in the right place, that hole tabs right onto, there's this peg right on his waist. So we'll do the same for this side. Rotate his arm, bend this forward, rotate this around, stick it in the right place. And try to line everything up. You want to take these knee guards and put them down. They'll slide in. Fold down his toes, and then his leg just kind of shoops in like that. tab those together, line everything up-ish. That is one thing that I'll say about this figure, is that it doesn't really line up super well. And there is his alt mode. And so it doesn't really look great, actually, at all. It doesn't even really look good. Before I get into the combined mode of this, I do want to point out that I will be doing some jump cuts in this. I don't generally like jump cuts when it comes to reviews, because I feel that it provides a slightly disingenuous review of the figure. A lot of people use jump cuts to say, oh, well, I'm having trouble with this figure, so I'm going to edit out all of my fumblings, and just, it goes here and it's done. You know, whereas I feel that if a figure is frustrating, it should show that. If a figure is annoying, it should show that. If a figure is hard to transform, it should show that. So I will just be doing that, because I'm not going to transform this. I mean, reviewing the same figure 3 times, I don't want to make this be too ridiculous for you guys. So let's just get this combined together real quick. So we're going to take this piece here. We're going to fold these in. Fold those in like that. Fold these in. There's a little tab right in here on that wing that's going to plug into the slot right on that gun, just like so. And the same on the other side. We do want to take both of his fists. You'll notice that one fist has a slot on it and the other one has a tab in the corresponding place. These are just going to stick together like so. And then that is going to plug in. Yep. You got these 2 tabs right here. That's going to plug into right there. There's these corresponding slots underneath it. That goes in just like so. And then these guys, you've got these pegs right here are going to fit into these holes right here on the corners. There's a way to plug them in. Yeah. They just want to plug in just so that they kind of rest around this little gun feature on the forearm. If everything is aligned well, they get together just fine. If they're not, then you just kind of got to fight it a bit. But that's what it looks like when it's all put together properly. When I first got this figure, no instructions. So I'm trying to figure out where everything goes. I look at some video reviews online. Useless. Like one person was like, and then you just plug them in here and then jump cut. And they don't actually show where they went. So I was like, Anyhow, there's these little slots right here on this back part here. The dick plate's gonna slide into that. Like so. And last but not least, we're going to take this part. Got the head folded in already. These little tabs right here are going to fit into these slots on the inside of those guns. Like that and like that. Alright, now to bring this out, we've got these things here. We're going to unfold these along that joint. And these do not tab together. So what we're going to do is we're going to peg them into the legs. This is where they were when they were in their combined armored robot mode. Kind of line them up and you'll see that there's these 2 big slots right in here, and there's, wow, 2 big tabs right here. Let's put the tabs in the slots. And there we go. That is basically it. Now what we're just going to do is we're going to just, attach as many guns as we can. There's a gun and there's a gun, and I really want to put these guns up here, but for whatever reason they do not want to fit in those holes, which is really frustrating. So luckily there's little holes on the side of the gun. I can fit them on this tab right here. It's actually kind of where I've got them when I display this in robot mode usually. Oh, that's the wrong gun. There we go. I can take this one right here, plug it in right there. Yeah, right there like that. Have some guns up front. And stick this gun right here. Or not. Maybe not. This thing gets in the way. And then this. Perfect. But yeah, there he is in his combined armored trailer mode. And damn boy, he thick. That's one thick ass boy. Because it really is. This thing is super chunk. It looks ridiculous as a vehicle. Like this is a vehicle that it would drive down the road and it would take up 3 lanes of traffic just by itself. Like you would need like a convoy of cars before and after saying wide load, wide load. But it rolls more or less because it is a whole bunch of parts that don't really fit together super well. Its ability to have all wheels touching the ground is dubious at best. But, I mean, you can stick it on the ground and you can pretend that it's doing something and, you know, imagination. That's the key right here, is the imagination. To be perfectly honest, as a figure, I don't recommend this. I hold out that somebody is going to design a better figure sometime in the future. It's not a bad figure. This figure is good for exactly one thing. It's armoring him up, gearing him up, sticking him on a shelf, just standing there. That's what he does. If you're okay with that, then sure, go pick this up. You can probably find it for a good price point. I will point out that this figure, when it originally came out, does come with a secondary figure who I'm not going to review at this moment because this is already going to be a long review. So, I don't really recommend it, to be fair. My recommendations for these other figures is going to be slightly different, so stay tuned. So as for Nightmare Commander, this is basically the exact same figure. Like, honestly, 1-to-1, all the same sculpt, all the same parts, all the same little funky gun thing, same little these guns here, same little spear, same secondary guns, like everything is exactly the same except that he's swanked up in some red paint. Oh, sorry. A little bit of red paint on there, but like black. That's what I meant to say. By red, I meant black. He's swanked up all black. He looks like Nemesis Prime. And it's a good looking Nemesis Prime. As far as Nemesis Prime goes, it's a little edgier than I think he usually is, but he does come with this cloak. This is literally the exact same cloak that came with their Starscream, and it's got these 3 pieces that are just pegged together. In fact, you can unpeg them if you really feel like it. He's got these 3 pieces that are just pegged together. This one peg here, it attaches just onto that main peg on the back. And you can spread it out a little bit and give him some presence. And it looks good. It's got character, it's got some presence. And I think that as far as a Nemesis Prime goes, this is probably about as good as your options are right now. I know that Magic Square did make a black version of this figure, but I mean, this has more gravitas than just a black version of this. I'm not crapping on this figure at all. I think it's an amazing figure, but you know, you want to go for intimidation factor if you have a Nemesis Prime, and this delivers the intimidation factor for sure. Now, onto alt mode. And there we are with this guy in his vehicle mode. I skipped all of that because his transformation to the vehicle mode is essentially the same as this guy. Major differences being this guy has got a lot of paint on him, and it's very nice looking paint, and it has sort of this like matte, texture to it. Even places that are molded in black or gray plastic are then painted with black or gray paint on top of it. Why? Because it has that texture, that matte texture that adds to the allure and mysticism of the character. As a result, the tolerances for this are very different. And it makes it really hard to transform. There's a peg here. There's a little peg on the side of that chest armor. I couldn't even get that in. The little shoulder things on the bottom of here, like this is stuck in here way tighter than this other one. The things that attach onto this backpack section here are much tighter than I think they really should be. This is not a figure that I would transform if I didn't have to. Actually, in fact, I'm going to put it back in this box when I'm done with this, and I'm going to never ever touch it again till the end of my days, probably. Yeah, the paint tolerances just make this much more difficult to transform. And as you can see, like, the things don't fit together as well because tabs won't seat properly, and it makes everything just look like the alt mode looks arguably worse than this other one where everything's fairly neat and lined up. Like, this other one's all janky and whatnot. Also, new cape, nowhere to go. Like, literally nowhere to go. And the same problem with these having nowhere to go. So, Nemesis Prime, like the Power Master Prime, I can recommend it for the combined armored robot mode only. And if you're okay with that, then go find one. If you're not okay with that, if you want to be able to transform it and show it in its alt mode, then I mean, I can't really recommend it. It has a terrible alt mode, and it doesn't display well in its unarmored robot mode. So that brings us to the last part of our review, which is this guy. Now, this is Nova Prime, who, strangely enough, later becomes Nemesis Prime. And gosh, this figure looks pretty good. I will just come right out and tell you that it looks pretty damn good. Now, I am personally partial to my solution for Nova Prime, because I was like, I like Nova Prime. I want to have one in my collection. I picked up the Make Toys one. Leave me a comment if you want me to review that, because I think it's great. I got it years before I started this channel, so before I started reviews, mind you. And yeah, so this guy, I am going to show the transformation of him because there's enough different things, mainly with this backpack, that it definitely changes things a bit. Nice use of blue on here. It's a very nice figure. It's a very nice looking figure. It's the nicest looking Nazi you'll ever put on your shelf. I guess maybe fascist is the right way to say that, but he does have these guns here. This is actually two guns. They pop apart and make two different guns, which I think is cool. Oh, come on. This particular figure does have some looseness in its knees, which is a little bit frustrating because it makes him want to fall over if you bump him incorrectly, which we all know that I do that because I am just uncoordinated as hell. But that's it for his accessories. He comes with that spear and these guns. He doesn't come with any more guns. He doesn't come with any extra stuff. So, let's get down to his unarmored mode. So this is really just the same as the other one. Just yank that off. Yank that off. Yank that off. Deploy the toes. Take off his dick plate. There is a surprising amount of new sculpting on this figure. Like the whole, like parts of this chest are the same. Here, we'll compare these. Like this part of the chest right here is the same, but like there's these panels here on the front. These are separate panels, and those are new. And this whole section here of the chest area, that's all new. But whereas like this is the same, but this is new. This waist piece section here is new. The thighs, I believe, are the same as the other thighs. No, they are not. Wait, maybe yes they are. Yes they are. They're the same thighs. These knees are different. There's the like outer part of this leg is the same, but this inner part, which was a separate piece that was molded, that was painted silver on the other figures, that's now done up as this clear yellow piece, which is cool. And let's crank this head out. Take his forearms off. There he is. He is largely the same as the other ones. Just a couple different things. Different knees, different shins, different chest. And I believe his head is slightly different as well. All in all, good sculpt, good paint. There are going to be issues, as you saw when I was taking these guys apart. That paint is in evidence here as well. It's going to cause some issues. So let's get him transformed up really quick. I'm just going to gloss over a lot of this, because we've already seen it once with the other one, and I've already done it twice at this point. So I'm not even gonna be picky about it. By the way, I didn't mention, but I had the biggest pain in the ass pushing these legs up on the Nemesis Prime. Like, there was some adult words going on there. Some adult words that YouTube might not like. So I guess it's good that I had the camera off. Other than that, it was largely the same, aside from some of the tabs not fitting properly. So you didn't really miss much, even though I tell you that I like to show this stuff. And I do like to show this, but I also don't want to just bore you all freaking day either. So there he is in his... that doesn't really look any better for this guy, does it? Alright, so here's what we're doing with this. A lot of the same stuff, but also some things that are a little bit different. So we're going to bring up this section here, just like before. Then we're going to bring these down. The wings are all going to kind of stick together. These guys have like a little tabby section in there. Tabby, like it's got tabs, not like tabby, like a cat. And then, I forgot to go over Poseability of the wings. I really wish I'd done that while he was all combined up. The wings, by the way, they move forward a little bit, but then they're also on these ball joints. And so you can take them and put them down like that, or bring them out like this. I think they look best out, but I'm a big fan of robots with wings. I should show you my robots with wing shelf one of these days. So these ones will combine up again and go in here again. You've got these parts again. Will come in here like that again. Where'd the other one go? Where'd it go? There it is. And then what you want to do for these is you want to bring them, well, maybe that's not how that goes. Bring them in. And then you've got this section here, which is all completely new sculpt on it, but the same engineering. Except that now what you got to do, because you don't have the slots straight in here, you've got these little tabs instead. And what you do is you plug these guns into those tabs, like so. And then when they come in, those tabs hold on to this chest, so they basically just replace that. So it's still got the same tab and slot system, it just does it in a very different fashion, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool, actually. So these the same. His dick plate goes right on there. These are the same. Plug these into there. And then he's got those same tabs that just plug in right underneath, like so. Ooh. That made a scary sound, but it did not do a scary. It was doing me a scared. And then you'll take these top wings here and you'll fold them down, because otherwise this is just ridiculously tall. And again, this has nowhere to go. But here he is in his alt mode, and good lord, that is one hell of a truck. Like, that is just... That's a big oof right there. It's just massively tall. And massively wide. Technically not as wide as these ones here. With the guns, these are a little bit wider. I don't even know if I could show you that, because perspective being what it is. Here, wait, we can go like this. Yeah, so it's wider, but like this is like way taller, and just makes it look just like big and chunky, and I don't know if I'm super keen on it. Part of the thing that I liked about this the original Nova Prime design was that it had, I mean, it looked all coherent and streamlined, and it was done really well. The guy who drew that, Don Figuera, just does grade A work. And I thought that it was done really well. And what we really need is a nice, high-class figure of that design specifically. But I don't know if we're going to get one. But this figure, again with the other ones, I can recommend it for its alt mode. Or sorry, for its robot mode. It's armored up robot mode only, not for the alt mode. The alt mode is kind of ass. But the combined up armored mode, the robot mode, just looks good. And hopefully you don't have issues with the knees like this one has. In terms of fit and finish, this one's a little bit better than Nemesis Prime. Nemesis Prime doesn't even stay flat, because like nothing tabs together properly on him. But yeah, there they all are together. This one's a maybe, this one's a probably, and this one is, if you can't get the Make Toys one, I'm going to throw that onto this one here, because the Make Toys Nemesis Prime looks amazing. So if you can't get the Make Toys one, which I know that was limited and exclusive and whatnot, this is a good alternative. Same with this. But anyhow, I'm still waiting for somebody to come out with a real alternative to this, and these are good placeholders for the time being. But thanks everybody for watching. Sorry that this review is longer than I wanted to do, but yeah, I kind of sneaked in 3 different reviews, so it works out pretty well, I think. But everybody stay awesome and be good to each other. See ya.